Learning to read was the best thing that ever happened to me. I still remember my kindergarten class sitting crisscross applesauce on a worn rug along with the rest of the kids during story time and sounding out some super hard words in The Very Hungry Caterpillar. My wonderful educators truly shaped my reading journey, as from then on I learned how to pick books of my own and opened a gateway to endless knowledge. I would read 400-page novels in 1 or 2 sittings, day after day, as I developed my passion for dystopia and fantasy, and recognized aspects of such novels that perfectly reflect our realities. I lived through the eyes of the characters. The magnitude of life lessons, social learning, and situational awareness I gained from my little obsession. I truly believe books were my biggest teacher. This world of literature was like a best friend that never left me through the day-to-day challenges I encountered throughout my childhood. As I navigated moving to a new state and feeling alienated, the weirdness of COVID-19, and everything in between. It was always there for me when I struggled with my mental health. I've read over 500 books thus far, and I honestly cannot imagine my life without the ability to read. Unfortunately, this is not the case for many Americans. So I was on social media one day when I came across this video. And in this video, there's a white, middle-aged man in a coffee shop waiting in line. And when it was his turn to order, he struggled to sound out the words listed on the menu behind the counter. And the barista yelled at him for holding up the line and taking so long. And she specifically said the words, "Can't you read?" Think about how humiliated that man must have felt in that moment, in that coffee shop full of people. And not just there, our everyday circumstances require us to comprehend vocabulary and translate the weird shapes we call letters into meaning. And that's what comprehension is. And this comprehension is used in every single aspect of our lives that we take for granted. How helpless would you feel if you couldn't read legal documents, sign a binding contract, use a calculator to do your taxes, or even understand a map? And to me, the notion that a non-immigrant adult was not fortunate enough to be given the opportunity to gain literacy was astonishing. In America, in this supposed land of opportunity, we have allowed the national literacy crisis to impede development to the point where over 93 million Americans read at or below the basic level necessary, deeming them functionally illiterate. In context, that's over a third of American adults. You may think that this doesn't affect you, that this has nothing to do with you. But the reality is that this crisis costs our U.S. economy over $2.2 trillion annually. This has everything to do with each and every one of us. Our nation is being hindered as a whole by our lack of action to effectively help these people who have been given this label, but nothing to change their circumstances. And the recent pandemic has only exacerbated this issue, making it more challenging for people to access the resources they need to improve their reading abilities. But this crisis is, by no means, any fault of theirs. These individual circumstances are the direct consequence of the fact that not enough is being done to educate all people, especially the young adults of our country. Now, what got us to this point? As I'm sure you all know, school is hard. It's been hard from the moment we entered kindergarten, and the weight on our shoulders never left, only growing in mass and shrinking our confidence to succeed. There's a reason more than 8,000 students quit high school every single day. Capable people just like me and you. Think about that. Today, some 8,000 students across our nation decided that they couldn't continue expanding their knowledge because of financial situations or extenuating circumstances, or just the fact that they didn't feel smart enough to obtain a high school diploma. I'm a junior in high school. I'll be graduating in a year or so, fingers crossed. And I think all of my peers would agree that the path here was immeasurably difficult. Yet I cannot be more thankful that I had the opportunity within my education to push through and challenge myself. But what about the students that lack such support, that don't possess the familial background to support their educational endeavors? There are many institutions and organizations devoted to educating elementary level students. Yet, when it comes to educating adults, to the teenage dropouts and young adults of our country, such skills are not made a priority. Adults are often the ones who truly suffer. Children don't see the full effect of their illiteracy until we have deemed it far too late to go back to school. And what's astonishing is that many of these functionally illiterate people consist of students who gained a high school diploma, students who have just gotten by, and really have not been given enough importance. That's scary to me because it means that every year students who have not received complete training are being pushed out into the real world without adequate preparation to succeed. We are just setting them up for failure. Clearly, we need to change something. The fact is, technology is filling up our world like never before. And rather than widening literacy disparities at an alarming rate, we must bridge this gap faster and make use of the tools we possess. For instance, while many communities in poverty lack access to the internet and technology, we have the means necessary to change them. Many school districts have initiatives to promote access, such as renting Chromebooks, iPads, and other devices to support the National Educational Technology Plan. And this is a government-driven goal for equitable access to technology all the time. But for adults, we lack the same level of attention. We need to be making it a priority to integrate similar plans to build these people's potential for success. These devices can unlock a world of learning through audiobooks, e-readers, personalized learning, and a plethora of knowledge at these people's fingertips. Especially in rural areas, such initiatives are a necessity with these communities' lower levels of interconnectivity, which truly hinders their potential for literacy. The social stigma behind adult education is another thing. We must support these people in any way we can and give them the courage to further their learning, because it'll benefit all of us, our economy, our communities, the progression of our world. And for the people who are afraid to seek such help or believe they don't need it, fiction can be their biggest tool. Literature can be relatable to anyone with its diverse subject areas. It can improve comprehension through subconscious repetitive practice. And from my experience, it can feel like a movie on paper. Countless studies show that children and adults alike stand to gain so much from the ability to read. They can have the ability to empathize, recognize varying perspectives, express their creativity, be effective leaders, motivate and inspire dreams of a better future, and unleash the full power of their intellects. Obstructing such education limits social development, not just the book smarts we generally associate with literacy. In a study conducted by Emory University, researchers used an fMRI to measure brain activity before and after reading sections of a thriller. And they found increased connectivity of the brain in areas corresponding to the receptivity of language and motor sensory, which suggests that fictional books could provide lasting stimulation on the biology of our brains. Such permanent enrichment enhances our ability to be effective communicators. And that's a skill vital to almost every occupation and every social interaction that you have, because it breaks our barriers and opens us to new realms. And we see this in the timeless tale of Matilda. If you've ever read the book by Roald Dahl or watched the movie, you know they explore the life of a genius young girl named Matilda. And this girl has telekinetic abilities and fights against her family's norms that value television and belittle literature. And despite her family's malicious treatment towards her, this girl secretly walks to the library daily and educates herself with the help of her librarian, and she's soon devouring books meant for adults. She uses her newfound knowledge as a weapon against her family's occupational corruption and unfair household rules. Matilda then enters school, and her kind kindergarten teacher recognizes her staggering aptitude for learning. Now, imagine if Matilda hadn't had access to a library or an amazing educator. She would have been stuck in that horribly common yet endless cycle of societal neglect and illiteracy, and she wouldn't know the value of a true education. America has the highest achievement disparity between the top 10% and the bottom 10% of its population. That says something, doesn't it? We have to give that bottom 10% a chance at least. We cannot let the Matildas slip through the cracks, because don't you think that every child, every adult, and every single person deserves the opportunity to become whoever they want to be. Every child and adult has a place in our world. They are the next doctors, scientists, engineers, lawyers, teachers, and innovators. And it's up to us to educate every person for humanity to live up to its full potential. It is never too late to stop learning, no matter your age. Thank you.